Hey everyone, Jack here. Welcome back to the channel. And today it's finally the day I get to build my $220 custom keyboard. By the way, this is actually after building the board. Spoiler alert, I'm actually pretty happy with the result, but you should watch the entire video to see what the building process was like and yeah, the suffering I had to go through. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video.
So after we record the first shot, which was me unboxing the board, since my mom was in the background, of course I want to respect her privacy. So the Keycon K8 came in this nice minimal lift, nice minimal box with a lid you have to lift, like the Apple ones. Pretty cool. Although pretty annoying to get out, especially since I took out the board already. This was when I'm done building the board, by the way. So basically here you have a sheet of foam, you have your quick start guide with all of the necessary shortcuts you might need for setting up your board and etc. You have a card here warning you about bent pins, because of course I bought the hot swap version. And then you have it arrive in this plastic. Overall pretty minimal, pretty cool looking. This dust cover, a manual, and yeah. Of course, there's still a bit more accessories. You have a keycap puller, switch puller. I actually did not expect this switch puller to be the normal ones you got, because the boards I've seen with the keycon boards I've seen with a switch puller are usually those thin ones. It was mainly in the K6, and it was a pleasant surprise for me to find this one. It's a bit more thicker, a bit more easier to use, especially on the keys on the bottom row and on the bottom and top row. So that's really good on Keycon. And also came with a braided USB-C cable. However, I haven't plugged it into my computer, so I can't really show it. But overall, it's a pretty okay. It's pretty decent. It's angled, which is not the best, but personally, using a laptop, it's actually pretty convenient. But of course, not everyone's on a laptop taking this keyboard around. So yeah, that's absolutely subjective. Anyway, here's a sound test of the keyboard, absolutely stock, no mods, and so obviously the keyboard didn't sound that great. It was rather hollow, rather pingy. So let's fix that. So first, let's disassemble the board. So the first step is obviously to remove the keycaps on this keyboard. Um, so yeah, as you can see, I got the switch opener and the switch puller and the keycap puller out of the box. But of course, out of the plastic bag. But of course, we have to take off the keycaps first. And I'm sorry if the camera angle isn't the best. I tried not to use my laptop camera because of how it looks, because of its like dimensions. Yeah. But as you can see, I am slowly dying inside as I just rip off 87 keys against. No, I'm just kidding. I did this. I did this. I did this voluntarily, and I had fun in the build, and you'll see that later on in the build. So I'll end the voiceover here, and we are going to get into the next step of building the board. And now, once I was finished taking off all of the keycaps, we have Bear, Gatoron, and Rex. Obviously, my table is rather a mess because I just put the keycaps over there. So yeah. While I was taking off the switches, as you can see, I actually bought myself a switch puller. I thought I could live on the stock switch puller alone, and I would have done that if I didn't realize a K6 switch puller was so thin and I thought this would be the same for every single keycon hot swap board. So I resorted to buying my own switch puller, but yeah, I use both simultaneously. I mainly use the stock switch puller for Cherry Row 4 at the very bottom and Cherry Row 1 at the very top. So just because
Yes.
your normal traditional rubber coated switch puller can't the way it's angled doesn't really have enough to just um, get pulled out. Um, so yeah, I resorted to using the stock puller that those rows. And yeah, I'll let the voiceover end here, and let's get on to the next step of this build.
Now, the keycon boards come with these stabilizers that I took out. These are cherry clones, and even though I can improve them, we're not going to be using them for this build. We're going to be using Everglide Panda stabilizers, which to me are the best Paymount stabilizers you can get. So yeah, let's start working on this stuff, shall we? So before we actually work on the stabilizers themselves, let's do the band-aid mod, where we put a band-aid on to where the stabilizers hit the PCB and put lube on the band-aid so it can reduce rattle. And conveniently enough, Keychron has actually already put some tape, some contact for stabilizers. So that's really convenient. So all we have to do is
The next step is to get your Krytox or your dielectric grease or whatever you use to lube, such as your stabilizers, and basically put lube on those pads or those band-aids. This just helps reduce rattle and of course dampen, not dampen to the impact as like the claws on older stabilizers, but obviously um, it's still there to reduce rattle. Anyway, I'll end the voiceover here and let's get straight into the next step of the build.
so now that we dipped some Krytox onto the tape contacts of the board, let's put the case aside and let's actually work on the stabilizers themselves. Alright, I got some time to clean up my table, and now let's work on the stabilizers. Now, there are going to be two mods we're going to be doing to the stabilizers. First, clip and the holy mod. So, let's get into this. Clipping a stem is actually really simple. You see these two fangs or two claws, you basically clip those because what this does is sort of dampen the impact when you use a stabilized key, which will make the key feel really mushy, and that's not good. We want a flat surface so we can get that deep lock and also not a mushy stabilizer. So now that I explained to you why clipping is important, how do you clip a switch? I don't know, a stem. So basically, this here is an unclipped stem. Basically, you grab the fangs that are causing the mushiness and then just clip them off. And the end result should look like this. It should be more flat. The surface of the clip stem should be more flat if you want a more talky sound. But of course, this will just do fine. And yeah, and I'll just demonstrate. Of course, I'll demonstrate it. So you hold the stem. Best you have a stem picker, and then you grab your scissors or your cutter, and then here we go. First part has been clipped off, and second part has been subsequently clipped off. So now that I explained to you why clipping is important, how do you clip a switch? I don't know, a stem. So basically, this here is an unclipped stem. Basically, you grab the fangs that are causing the mushiness, and then just put them off. And the end result should look like this. It should be more flat. It should be more flat. The surface of the clip stem should be more flat if you want a more talky sound. But of course, this will just do fine. And yeah, and I'll just demonstrate. Of course, I'll demonstrate it. So you hold the stem. Best you have a stem picker, and then you grab your scissors or your cutter, and then here we go. First part has been clipped off, and second part has been subsequently clipped off. So now that we clipped the stem, we're just going to do that for the others, and then we should move on to the holy mod. So I clipped all the stems, and now we're going to be doing one of the best mods you can do for your stabilizer, which is the holy mod, which I'll show you in the shot. So the holy mod requires a couple of things. Of course, your stem, your band-aids or your cloth tape, Teflon tape, and scissors, tweezers, and of course, as homogeneous as patience. So basically, what this does is you put tape on the side with one hole, and then you run the excess through the hole, through the other hole, and through the hole at the bottom on the second side, and then run the other excess on the hole on top. Now, this mod can be a bit tricky for people who haven't done it. Personally, I haven't done it before, but yeah, let's do this. So you get your tape. I haven't used this at all yet. Let's see, where's the starting point? There we go. So we grab our tape. Then we start peeling it. We start peeling it. Then, once you have a good peel, we try and grab some tape. Make sure it's not too thick to the point where it doesn't fit in the stabilizer. So we have our piece of tape. Then we're going to run it through this hole. And also, best you have your tweezers around. So yeah, I'll just time lapse this because I'm a complete noob at this mod. So I finished the holy mod on the stem, and basically this is how it's supposed to look. Also this one, yeah, don't mind this, I'm gonna fix it. So yeah, that's basically what you do in the holy mod. Now I'm gonna do this for the rest of the 9 stems, and I'll get back to you.
Alright, so this is Editor Jack. We're going to do this again, or I'm filming this again. So now at this point in the build, I've finished doing the holy mod to all the stabilizers, or all the stems. Of course, you have to do the most important mod or one of the most important things you have to do to your stabilizers. No matter how well clipped, how well band-aided, and how well holy modded your stabilizers are, it will be ineffective if you don't lube these stabilizers. So yeah, let's get into lubing.
So I mainly like to use Krytox 205 grade 0. Of course, it's one of the best lubes you can go for with nearly any part of your keyboard. Now we'll first start with the housing. So with the housing, you obviously just lube it Now you don't have to. For stabilizers, more lube is more lube, not like switches where less lube is more lube. Which is, um, yeah, um, yeah, I don't know what to say, but yeah, for stabilizers, more lube is more lube than, which isn't the same for switches. So as long as you lube it well, you're going to have nice sounding stabilizers, whether they're plate mount, PCB clip-ins, or screw-ins. That's basically, yeah. So, um, so after that, after that, let's talk about. After that, let's talk about how I lube my stamps. But let's first finish all the housings. So I've lubed the housings already. Next, let's talk about the stems. Now, of course, these stems have been wholly modded. I did an okay job for my first time. So yeah, I highly recommend you get a stem picker for this one. And obviously, you grab your brush that has Krytox or Tribosis or that. But as usual for stabilizers, more lube is more lube, unlike switches. So you just give a good shine, just give a good stroke on both sides, on the two sides of the stem, and I highly recommend that you just put is you put the stem. Is to put the stem into the housing. So I don't know. I just think it's a good idea to do that. Alright. Now I'll just be lubing the rest of the stems and we'll be on our way to the wires. So I lube the housings and the stems. So our next job here is to lube the wires, one of the biggest culprits of stabilizer rattle ever. So basically how I want to do it is you grab a good chunk of lube and then just lube these parts. And then after that, after that, we just we'll put the housing and the wire together so we can assemble the stabilizer. And I'll just do that for the rest of the 5 wires, and then we're done with the stabilizer, so we finally get to the longest part, which is the switches. Now with the stabilizers done, oh yeah, I forgot to show them. Here they are. Wholly modded, clipped, lubed, and of course the PCB band-aided. We can finally mount these onto the case. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll give you guys a quick sound test of the stock OEM caps with the stock Gateron Reds, but of course the stock with of course the Everglade Pandas. So I've sorted all of the parts of the Gateron yellows into the boxes that I found in my room. So yeah, it took quite a while and it was kind of tiring, but I'm glad that I finally got that over with. The switch opener really saved me time. So let's talk about how I do things. First things first is that we are going to be back lubing the springs. Basically, you grab a bag, a plastic bag. Then you put all the springs. You put all the springs. You put all the springs into the bag. So once I get all the springs in here, no springs shop? I'm thinking no springs shop. Anyway, so once you have all of the springs in here, we are going to be using a new lube, Krytox 105 grade 0. This is one of the best lubes you can use for springs, because this is an oil and not a grease. So you're going to be coating the springs way better using 105 grade 0. So basically, take off the cap, then you just squirt some drops in there. So I just realized my bottle of 105 grade 0 was sealed, so I wasn't able to squirt it out, but now I got the seal off. So basically what you do, you just squirt some around the bag and on the springs. Alright, after that, blow a little air into it, and then just shake. The idea is that the springs, because of the lube bag, the oil bag, is that when you shake it, springs will go around and get it coated, because gravity. And since when you shake it, it's going to fly around or get coated with 105 grade 0. And of course, since the gravity will be brought down, so you shake for a good while until you can probably see all the springs have been oiled well enough. Now after that, you open your bag. That's been used to Krytox 105. Then you put it back into where you started, and I use this cube box because I don't know, I like cube box lying around. So once you have your springs in, you want to set that aside. Now the main reason why I said you should set it aside is because now we'll be lubing every other part of the switch. Now the way I do this is I lube it in batches of 10, since this is an 87 keyboard. So 8 batches of 10 and 1 batch of 7. So what I first do is grab my bottom housing, grab not the 105, we're not using Krytox 105. Since this is an oil, it's going to wear off a bit faster than using a grease like Krytox 203 or 204, 205, 206. So yeah, we lube it in batches of 10, and then once we're done lubing the bottom housing, what I like to do is strike the way I lube bottom housings is that I like to brush the sliders, then the leaf, then go around the post thing, I don't know. And then after that, I put my spring on. After lubing those 10 bottom housings, I grab 10 springs. I get my lube springs, and then I lube the stems. Now how do I lube the stems? When you think about it, wait, where's my stem? Oh. Now for my convenience, and so I won't get my hand stuck in Krytox, I grab a stem picker, and then I lube all sides and this part sticking out of the stem, so I get a smooth tapping experience. After that, I put it on top of the spring, and then I grab the top housing. People don't use lube their top housings, however I do. Most especially for linears. For tactiles, probably don't, but most definitely do it for linears, so you can make it feel smoother. And then before that, I grab my films. So let me explain. I grab my films. These are Desky switch films. These are 0.15mm thick. They come in sheets of 6 sheets of 20, which is 120 films, so perfect for any size keyboard. So after that, I attach my film to the top housing, making sure it's aligned properly. Now it's white, so I bought the white film, so the contrast won't be drastic. But basically, they're usually with switch films is that there are two holes, one bigger hole and one small hole. You need to align the small hole with the hole that's allowing for RGB backlighting. And then attach it to your top housing and boom, you have a film switch. However, I haven't lubed these yet, so I'm gonna be lubing it. And once I'm done, we're gonna be installing it on my K8. And once we're done, we're done with the build, and we just have to attach the keycaps and give you guys a sound test. So yeah, see ya in a couple hours.
And after 6 painful hours of lubing and filming the Gator on Milky Yellows, we finally have all 87 switches successfully lubed and filmed. And as my hard work finally paid off, I attached all of the Gator on Milky Yellows to my K8, and 87 switches later. And to top off my build, we have one of my favorite keycap sets of all time. This is HK Gaming Chalk, a PBT dice sublimated cherry profile set from HK Gaming, and as I finally run to the finish line of this keyboard build, I put the key, I put the keys onto the board, and finally, yeah, I'm technically done with the build. So yeah, I'll just let this clip of me putting on the keycaps, or probably I'll just skip it once I'm done saying what I have to say, and let's move on to the sound test. So after months of preparation and 12 hours building, yes, this took 12 hours to build, mainly because of lubing and filming the switches. We finally have the end product, and as you can see, it looks really nice and it sounds really good. It wasn't what I originally expected, but I got used to the sound, and I'm actually really pleased with the result. Um, uh, there were a lot of hurdles along the way, especially with stabilizers after we did the holy mod on some stems and we did the wires and stuff like that. But all that hours worth of building was really worth it, because the end product is really nice. Anyway, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you didn't mind enduring 30 minutes of um, my terrible editing skills and stuff. But yeah, that concludes this video. Yeah, like and sub, please. Also follow me on Instagram, and also check out my OSU profile. Follow me there if you play OSU as well. I might post OSU content soon. I don't know. I don't think people would spend their time watching a person at rank 848k just play 2 stars, 3 stars. So yeah. Anyway, that's all for me, and I'll see y'all in another video.